Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first in the webinar series associated with the Eureka 3D Marine Seismic Survey. In the webinar today, we will be introducing the Eureka 3D Marine Seismic Survey and talking to you about the environmental assessments and consultation processes that accompany the work to prepare for the survey. Pilot Energy is the title holder undertaking the survey and welcomes you to this webinar. My name is Matthew Smith. I've been asked by Pilot Energy to facilitate the consultation and support the environment plan preparation. And today I'll be taking you through the topics that we put in the agenda and look forward to any questions and answers at the end of the session. So Eureka is the name of a proposed marine seismic survey in the Perth Basin region. Seismic surveys are a technique used to explore and map the subsurface of the ocean floor. If you can imagine a normal vessel activity, traversing at low speeds, towing some equipment behind, you've got a really good idea of what the activity is likely to be. The equipment being towed behind is kind of where things start to change from normal vessel activities. And we have some streamers, sort of long kind of tubular streamers that extend out at the aft of the vessel. And also underneath the water, we tow a sound source. And that sound source has a pneumatic release of air that creates a sound pressure wave in the water. That pressure wave penetrates through the subsurface rock of the seafloor and reflects back certain sound waves, which are then picked up by small hydrophones located along the length of the streamers. Associated with the activity, we are required to complete an environmental impact and risk assessments, and those have commenced as of now. We have commenced consultation on the Eureka Marine Seismic Survey on the 1st of February with the publishing of our activity-specific website, which can be found at www.eureka3dmss.com.au. The activity is currently got quite a large window between the 1st of January 2024 and the 31st of December 2025, so about 2 years. And that will be refined over the consultation period and will also be refined through our environmental impact assessments as we understand more about the environment and tailor to minimise our environmental impacts. Within that 2-year period, there will be one survey. It will be approximately, the survey duration is 30 days, of which the maximum acquisition days will be 21 days. So the activity itself is limited to a month-long period within that 2-year window. There are some information flyers available on the website. One about the activity in a bit more detail, and another about, in fact, answering a common question we get, which is what is a seismic survey? There are useful links in those information flyers if you'd like more information. So first up, we'll talk a little bit about the environmental assessment that needs to be completed. Pilot Energy's own standards require that our activities are to be carried out in an environmentally responsible manner. And that includes considering principles of ecologically sustainable development and meeting the legislative requirements to manage environmental impacts and risks to as low as reasonably practicable and to below an acceptable level. We have regulatory requirements which are based on the process that you can see in the slide. The process is extracted from ISO 31000 and it forms the basis of both Pilot Energy standards, but also the environment regulations under the Offshore Petroleum Greenhouse Gas Storage Act. Those regulations require that we manage environmental impacts and risks. We have to comply with all environmental management law, not just the OPGGS environment regulations. And within the regulations, there is a requirement for the title holder to consult with relevant persons persons who may be affected by our activity. And that's really where our environmental assessments have started, in trying to find as many relevant persons as we can. During March, we will publish a series of documents. Those will include preliminary information on our environmental impacts and risk assessments. So it will outline the cause-effect pathways that we've identified between our activity and the environmental receptors in our region. We will also publish our environmental assessment methodology in March to explain how we think about environmental impacts and environmental risks. And there'll also be a summary of the implementation strategy, which is the document that tells you how we expect to monitor our environmental performance during the activity. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the consultation process, and we really do want the local communities and any affected parties to have their say. And the best way you can do that is through the website. Again, it's www.eureka3dmss.com.au. There are 5 stages within our consultation process. The first of those was to raise awareness, and that's what we've been doing over the last month. I'll explain the activities that we've undertaken in a bit more detail on the next slide, but essentially consultation has opened and we have started notifying government agencies. The 4 subsequent stages in our consultation process, one each month for the next 4 months, follow the standard ISO 31000 standard risk assessment approach. So for the next month or so, we'll be looking to establish context. We're going out and meeting with local fishing associations, local fishers. We're visiting some sites along the coast, and we're inviting comment. And I'll talk a little bit at the end of this webinar about how we're doing that. We'll be notifying affected persons that we find, and we'll be providing more and more information on our activity as it becomes available. During April, we'll be doing our environmental assessments. These assessments will be completed by qualified consultants. And during those assessments, they'll be using some of the information that's provided from the community, as well as the primary research that they would normally do to underpin these types of documents. In May, we will publish those documents and continue to consult on our mitigation and management measures. We will determine control measures in collaboration with the community, with relevant persons, and we'll set our environmental performance for the activity. All the time through March, April and May, public comment is open. In June, having published the draft environment plan, there'll be an opportunity for people to raise objections and claims. This really is the chance for you to have your say, and for Pilot Energy and the consultation and engagement and environment teams to really listen to the community and understand what the concerns are and how we might be able to improve our management of environmental impacts and risks. The consultation process beyond this will continue. There'll be a small pause in July as we prepare the submission for the environment plan submission for NOPSEMA, which is the National Offshore Petroleum Safety and Environmental Management Authority. They are our regulator, and we have to prepare an environment plan submission for them, which will also receive a regulated public comment period. So what have we done so far? Really 2 main areas of work that we've been undertaking. So they relate to consultation and the environmental assessment. So the consultation, we have published an activity-specific website. You can go there to understand more about the activity, our activity planning area, our environment planning area, and some initial information about the activity. And you'll also find there some published documents about our consultation plan. We've published the full 30-page consultation plan, as well as a 1-page information flyer. We've been advertising now for a month on social media through Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And we are seeing some great responses actually of people raising awareness about the project. We are targeting that advertising to an 80-kilometre area north and south of our environment planning area. We have written to all relevant state and Commonwealth government agencies. We've written to local councils, conservation groups, traditional owners, and local businesses, and we've requested contact details for local fishers. We've been in touch with a couple of fishing industry associations and have meetings planned with them in the coming weeks. Related to our environmental assessment, we've commissioned the preliminary environmental impact and risk assessment, and that document will be available for the public during March. And we have commenced searches for environmental values and sensitivities within our environment planning area. So we're very early on in the environmental assessment process, just allowing that time for us to identify people so that they can contribute to that assessment. What happens next? And this slide is really focused on the next month, but these activities kind of continue beyond that. So over March, in the 2 streams of work we've got in relation to consultation, we'll be searching for relevant persons. That search never really stops, but we will be continuing our efforts in March to find people who may be affected by the activity. We will be placing notices in local print media and also doing local radio interviews and radio advertising. We really do want to make sure that people who may be affected have their say. We will publish the various documents that are seen on the screen there, so the preliminary impact assessment, the environmental assessment methodology, and a summary of the implementation strategy. We will continue to advertise on social media over the next month and encourage people to contact us. We're going to write to individual fishers, continue the engagement with fishing associations and other relevant persons as they're identified, and we'll continue to follow up with the folks we've already been speaking to. The environmental assessment really does start now in earnest, and we're requesting and we're advertising for location-based feedback through the interactive map. And I'll speak about that in just a second. We will commence the full assessment processes, starting with the easier, smaller and more routine impacts and risks, working our way up to some of the more uncertain impacts and risks such as sound and oil spill. And it's highly likely that we will require modelling of those impacts, of sound impacts and oil spill risks. And so we're working on scoping up those modelling requirements at the moment. And again, people have the opportunity to engage and contribute to the scoping of those studies right now. For the interactive map, we've got an opportunity for people to be able to provide location-based feedback directly into the map. The environment planning area has been set, and anybody can contribute through raising concerns, providing information, or comment at specific locations. All you need to do is drag an icon from the top of the menu bar on the website, write your feedback, and input your contact details. By accepting the terms and conditions, you're accepting that you're making a comment or raising a concern or providing information as a member of the public. Finally, just submit your feedback, and that will go directly to our environment and consultation teams. It's highly likely we'll be in touch to talk about your functions, interests, or activities to determine whether or not you're a relevant person for this activity. Finally, there's an opportunity for questions and answers.